The PlayStation 2 is absolutely one of my favorite systems, where we can do so many cool things with now, and not for a lot of money, and that is something I even love more. So this is one of those things I wanted to check out for some time, the Bitfunx PlayStation 2 to HDMI converter. It's compatible with the PlayStation 2 FAT and the PlayStation 2 SIM, but I just wanted to focus on the FAT model, and we're going to do a chit chat regarding all of the different solutions and what kind of ways you can actually play. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. In this video I wanted to do a video regarding this PS2 to HDMI converter. Is this thing better than the older one, and what kind of different solution do we have when it comes to signal output? It has been some time ago that I've reviewed the PlayStation 2 to HDMI dongles, and that's actually like one of the reasons there was nothing much interesting to show. But now with the new Bitfunx, I just want to do also a comparison. So having the old version over here, I think you can pick them up for $9 or so, very cheap, and then we're having the other cheap one that was not a great solution that even has the option for PlayStation 1. But later on we'll explain why this is. But let's do a chit chat also about the connection when it comes to the cables and the overall qualities. But let's talk about the cables itself, or what kind of options and signal outputs we're having. But there are actually three different ways you connect your PlayStation 2. Over here having the AV out, this is the worst signal of all three of them. Then having the RGB. The RGB take consideration do of let's say different qualities of RGB cables, but you can have a minor difference between the overall quality and of course the component. And basically these are the three ways you can connect your cable. This dongle utilizes the AV out, and that's also the reason why it can actually use PlayStation 1, but the signal output is pretty damn bad compared with all the other ones. And where this PlayStation 2 to HDMI utilizes and converts, let's say, the component signal, the best signal, and basically puts it out in another, let's say, weird conversion. The biggest downside to this particular, let's say, conversion is that not every PlayStation 2 FAT model will use this, simply because the 30,000 of the first generation of PlayStation 2 will have no signal output when it comes to this dongle. But this particular model, the SHPH, the 30004, this is one of the first generations, and this will not have any component signal out. So in other words, that dongle I've shown you for $9 will not work on this. At least that is my overall, let's say, experience with this, and I've read a lot of people have this struggle. Nevertheless, we can use this, let's say, horrible AV out signal version on the, let's say, first generation of the vacuum cleaner PlayStation 2. I love to call them because those fans in the inside, man, they make a lot of noise. But if you're having a model like this particular one, the 50004, this will work with, let's say, the PS2 to HDMI and the component cable. Those are the different, like say, ways you can connect your PlayStation. But I focus in this video on the PlayStation 2 HDMI Bitfunx converter. Let's do a quick unboxing and let's see what you're getting in the inside of the package. So everything has been packed up very nicely. So we're also going to have a USB cable, and the USB cable is needed because you need to have some power. You can yourself like a 5 volt, but the most convenient thing is plug this thing straight into your PlayStation 2 port at the front. So one of the things I found kind of interesting, that they're still using the mini USB. Yeah, we're using mostly like Type-C now, or USB-C they call it, but it seems to be this thing is still only having the old school USB mini. Okay, so when it comes to the overall design, yeah, compare this, let's go very quickly. Yeah, there are some minor differences over here, but the thing I'm very curious about is how will it be with the signal, and also that is something I wanted to check out. So let's plug this thing in and let's see how it actually works and how you need to connect this. I need to get myself the 50,000. I'm also going to try it out on all the models to see if we're getting any signal out. So next up we need to plug this thing in, and the overall, let's say, the construction is quite nice. It has like a lot of resistance, but when it's in, it's in. And will not wiggle out that easily. Next thing that we need to do is plug in the USB cable. You can boot it up without, but highly possible you're not going to get any signal. So it's going to be a little bit of a cable nightmare. It's also a very short cable, but what we need to do is plug this thing in here at the side and then move all the way up to the front over here, because having a spare USB port. Let's plug this thing in at the front over here, and that's it. So it's plugged in. Plug in the HDMI cable, and let's get to the capture card and let's test some games and let's see how all the difference is with the different dongles. For the AV out, I'm using this basic and cheap HD video converter. It's also being using with the RGB cable. This is going to be for the basic signals, and I just wanted to compare this with the dongles itself. And for the component, I will use the component to HDMI converter. And this will also give us a very clear idea, if you're going to be comparing this with the dongles, how will they utilize the original connection that comes out of the system and how will they convert it when it comes to the colors or the contrast and everything else. Alright, so the first thing that we needed to do is go into the system configuration. So you always need to connect, let's say, the original cable. The reason why, because when it comes to certain systems, we don't have any signal going on. So what you need to do is going to the certain option and call the component video output. Pressing this will give you the option for the component. Choose this, then go out, reset the system and plug in the right cable, or in this case, the dongle itself. Alright, in the first attempt I just wanted to see what happens if we're getting the first generation of PlayStation 2 FAT models, or also called the 30,000 models, and there was no signal going on. So when it comes to utilizing the signal, the option is even not working when it comes to the first generation. So having this model, you cannot use a dongle. The first thing I've noticed that is going to be forced into the 4:3 aspect ratio like with the previous dongle. But I'm really curious if there's any improvement when it comes to, let's say, also the colors, how vibrant they are, but also when it comes to the audio quality. I've noticed some differences when it comes to different options, so that's one of the things I want to focus on today. But let's start with some gameplay and some quick comparisons. Okay, so first let's take a close look at the main menu with the old dongle, with some overall there's a nice colors and the moving Goku and Gohan. But if I'm going to be zooming in on Goku's face, here you can actually see that the colors are more vibrant with the new dongle. The same result can also be seen when you're going to put them both side by side. The right one, version 2, has more vibrance to the dongle, and the overall colors of Goku being Super Saiyan looks so much better. But with this dongle and the component signal output it's utilizing, what is very cool, that we can force a staying in the 60Hz progressive 480p. Yep, that is one of those perks that you're getting with the right PlayStation 2 model in combination with this dongle. We have this amazing 480p signal output, and I will give you a quick overview. So let's do a quick side-by-side comparison. We're using now the older dongle, the first generation of the PS2 to HDMI, and let's move on to the newer version from Bitfunx. But if you're looking at this particular, let's say, main menu, you will see doing a side-by-side comparison. Also here we can absolutely see the red is completely different of a color. The overall, I say, color contrast is different.
Race for the top position.
But let's start off with the full comparison of all the different solutions. So let's go into the training mode and let's start with just the AV out, RGB, and we're going to be scaling this up all the way to basically the best signal that we're getting with the component signal output. So first let's take a close look at the AV out signal. The AV out signal is basically the worst signal you can get from your PlayStation 2. Having a good RGB cable will make the display so much more beautiful, and it's more colorful and a little bit more sharpness. But when it comes to the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 dongle, oh boy, this looks absolutely worse than the AV out. It's absolutely crazy how they managed to mess that part up. But moving up to the component cable, that is also quite interesting. So the component cable is absolutely a great solution. Now having this converter and all the shenanigans, it's not easy to use. But let's take a close look at version number 1 that utilizes this particular signal. You can just see there is some colors difference between the version 1 dongle, but also the component cable. We're now moving on to the version number 2, and this one comes really close to the authentic original component cable. But let's do a comparison with the audio quality. Also there with the component cable, I've noticed that absolutely the audio sounds so much better. Three different ways to play the PlayStation 2 through HDMI, or at least like two, because this is absolutely not recommended. A horrible piece of equipment is this. But you're having two different ways, version number 1 and version number 2. This is what I want to dedicate this video to, because both of them will utilize the component cable. And I must say, when you're looking at the component signal out, yeah, there is some difference. Is it an improvement? That is something you need to decide, because their signal, I must say that I do love it, that it has a better overall quality when it comes to the component. If you're looking closely, you can see that the component cable actually comes very close to when it comes to, let's say, the dongle itself. Let me know what kind of color, or at least like what for kind of a cable would you love to use on your PlayStation 2. For now, it comes still with the problems like the PlayStation 2 Fat First Edition, and maybe some televisions will have issues because of the weird signal coming out of it. Nevertheless, thank you all for watching. Consider subscribing, hit the little bell, and let me know if you have any problems and questions.